Hi, my name is David P. Shapiro. I'm a San Diego-based criminal lawyer and owner and managing partner of the law office of David P. Shapiro. And today I want to discuss with you what happens if you or a loved one are accused or charged with violating probation. Well, there's a couple of ways. There's really two main reasons why people violate probation. The first is if you pick up a new case while you're on probation for another case. The second is if you do not pick up a new case, so you're not charged with a new crime, but you violated a condition of your probation. Now, the first one is pretty easy because if you get charged with a new crime while you're on probation for another offense that you were convicted of, court's going to have a problem with that. Prosecutor's going to have a problem with that. And the reality is it's something that you're going to need to deal with because even if you were to beat the new case entirely, you go to trial and win, you still may have an issue with being violated on probation. Well, why? Well, you're going to be violated on probation possibly even if you beat the new case or if that new case gets dismissed because it's a lower burden of proof on a probation violation hearing. So it's not proof beyond a reasonable doubt. So you could be proven not to commit a crime at all, but if what you did or if you were in a place where you shouldn't have been or around people you should not have been that probation said, hey, you're not supposed to be there, you're in all likelihood going to get violated. And then you have a big time problem similar, even if you don't commit a crime, but you violate a term of your probation. Say you test dirty. Say you fail to show up to a probation meeting. Say, you're told, hey, you have to do 10 days of public work service by a certain period of time and you don't do it. Well, you're going to be violated on probation. And what does that mean? A lot of times people come into our office and they'll think, hey, I had a deal. It was a felony. The deal was I was going to get probation. So what are they really going to do to me on a violation? And we sit down there and first we're sort of surprised that their former attorney didn't advise them really of what they're looking at and what their consequences would be if they violate on probation. But after we get past that, we start talking and explaining to these individuals, hey, just so you understand, whatever charges you were convicted of, you could get up to the maximum you could get for that charge or that conviction on a probation violation. So just because the deal talked about probation, you could still get sent to state prison. Several years in state prison, depending on the charge, if you violate probation. So that's a key issue as well that you need to be wary of. Another issue that comes up that we always tell our prospective clients and our current clients, hey, if there's a problem with your probation officer, if he or she's asking you to do something that you don't think's part of the original order, or if you think they're being super hard on you for no real reason, give your attorney a call. Be proactive, not reactive. A lot of times I can pick up the phone and call the probation officer and say, hey, what's really going on here? What can we do to help to avoid this case getting to court? Is it something that we could address informally without you being rearrested, without you being brought before a judge, without you facing the maximum possible consequences you could get under law for whatever you were convicted of? So the last thing you want to do is, my PO says that if I work with them and I did this, this, and this, they wouldn't violate me. And you don't tell your attorney and then you don't do anything and you wind up getting violated. So that's a whole other issue that you want to be mindful of. And an example of how a quality, locally experienced criminal defense attorney and particularly a criminal defense law firm will be able to help you out. So I hope that answers some common questions and alleviates some concerns with regard to probation violations, particularly probation violations in San Diego. Again, my name is David Shapiro. My firm helps good people regain control of their future when charged with a crime. If you or a loved one are facing a probation violation and want our help, we're more than happy to sit down and discuss your options with you moving forward. Feel free to give our office a call, 619-295-3555.